Kim Boggle, 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 Kim Boggle. Hello, lover. You are listening to your pal Ken Boggle from Ken Boggle Talk on blogtalkradio.com. It is indeed my turn to answer this week's questions from the crew. First being, if you were a woman, what type of woman would you be? Now, I find this question pretty interesting because it always is a question that's brought up in the gay community. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, you don't really ever go to a ball game and someone's on a bleacher and they look over at you and say, dude, if you were a lady, what kind of lady would you be? Or would you be a right slut? You never hear that, you don't go down to the dugout and the guys are trading stories about how one is more Weezer than Clary. You never really hear that. Not quite sure why it's always a question gay men ask of themselves and of others, but it's a good question nonetheless. But let it be said, I'm quite content being the man that I am. Very content, very happy. But in light of answering the question, I gotta say I'm something of like I would be something like B. Arthur, one of those B. Arthur types, broad-shouldered, opinionated, a baritone kind of gal. Very Dorothy Zbornak. Very Dorothy Zbornak. I took one of those quizzes on Facebook, and it said I was more Sophia than Dorothy, or more Sophia than any of the other Golden Girls. The honest truth is, I look at characters like Rose, and I appreciate them for who they are, but it's so not me. I am so not that type. Totally not me. I know Off Limits, Iconoclast, he was saying that he thought I would be a lot like Rose, but I guess he thinks I'm really naive, or country, or backward, something. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I see myself as, Dixie Carter, Julia Sugarbaker from Designing Women. You remember her. She's a great example of, of who I would be if I were a woman. I don't really dwell in small talk. If given a chance, I'll take it. Usually pleasant, but often tough. Somehow, even in being tough, there's a level of being fragile. There's some kind of really great and beautiful juxtaposition between being tough and being soft. This really gorgeous juxtaposition and contradiction of traits that Julia Sugarbaker had, and even to a different extent, Dorothy Zbornak, to a very different extent, I would guess you would say. Every year on my birthday, I watch All About Eve. You remember this is the movie with Bette Davis, and the very first time I recall ever seeing Marilyn Monroe. This, I believe, was definitely before, what was that one? The 7-Year Itch and stuff like that. I think this was definitely before that. Yeah, I have watched All About Eve every year on my birthday for years. Even as a child, I looked at Bette Davis and I thought, what a beautiful and strong role model. Very sharp, tough, opinionated. Even now in my kitchen, I have an autographed 8x10 photo of Bette Davis, and sometimes I just look at her and I think, damn, I hope I make you proud in some way. She was more of a father figure than my real dad, so there you have it. Now, as for the second part of this week's question here on the crew, the other fellas did not think I would answer it, or that I would be comfortable answering it. And the honest truth is that, you need to get ready, because I'm gonna. The question being, are you a top, bottom, or versatile? Which is strange, because it is yet another question that plagues the gay community. I think that this one more so than others, because it's kind of an important thing to know. kind of an important thing to know, you know? Um, this question is always asked in so many different ways. You know, are you the giver or the taker? Do you get it or give it? My least favorite of these being, are you a man? Are you the man or the woman? Um, I'm the man. He's the man. We're both the men, but we're getting it on. Oh my gosh. Once a guy I worked with, his name is Marcus. Once Marcus asked me, he said, and at the time, thinking back now, it was a period of time ago. It was original at that point. You know, it wasn't something that a lot of people had asked. And he said, you know, are you a pitcher or a catcher? And you know, I'm going to tell you the way I told him back then. You know, whether I'm the pitcher, the catcher, the bat boy, or an umpire, it makes no difference. It makes absolutely no difference because I just really want to be in the game. You know, it doesn't matter what position I play as long as I'm in the game. You know, and I don't really even have to start. I would prefer if it were a two-person game. I don't really understand the what I guess you would just say I'm versatile. I guess you would say versatile, but I prefer pitching as opposed to catching. I'm just better at it. So there you have it. Thanks for listening in, and I hope that you'll meet me here next week. And because I get to choose the crew question next week, I get to do that. And remember, you can always catch me on blogtalkradio.com. Until next week, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Big hugs and kisses. We'll see you then.
You're listening to Off Limits, liberal, irreverent, and really, really gay.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show. This is Dononvan from the Off Limits show. So I am responding to one of the two questions we had for the crew. So my first question was, are you a top, bottom, or versatile? And this is a question that I thought would be interesting because gay men have to ask this question. This is a question that, you know, when you meet someone who's gay and you yourself are gay when you're single, and you don't know if they themselves are also top or a bottom or versatile. And so first I'll explain the differences if you don't know already. So the first thing is, if you're a top, then that means you're the top who likes to penetrate with your penis, put your penis inside. And then if you're a bottom, you only like to get penetrated, be the receiving side. And versatile men are people who do both. So whether you're top or bottom or versatile depends on your personal preferences. Now, this is something that makes a lot of straight guys uncomfortable to discuss because it's really just a gay culture thing. But so the question is, what are you? Are you a top, are you bottom, or versatile, and why? Me, I'm versatile. For me, it depends on who I'm with. When I was single anyway, when I was dating and stuff, if I met someone and, you know, it depends on my attraction level and the chemistry I have with someone. So if I meet someone who's very highly ultra masculine and ultra like muscular and taller than me especially, and just like, you know, 6'4" and all that good stuff or whatever, then generally I'd probably be attracted to them more as a top, them as a top and me as a bottom, generally speaking. And then I've met guys who are typically younger than me and more twinkish, you know, and more and shorter than me and more smaller statured, or just like really tight bottoms and nice asses or whatever. And then I'm probably gonna want to fuck them. That would be the top in that situation. And then I've met guys where I am versatile with them. You know, sometimes I'm top and sometimes I'm bottom, depends on the guy. And so we have chemistry that way as well. So it just always depended upon the chemistry I had with the guy I was hooking up with or dating. And ironically, I mean, a lot of times the guys I would meet, the really tall, muscular guys would be bottoms a lot of the time. And the really short guys, more compact guys would be tops. And it always kind of freaked me out sometimes. I mean, in my mind. And I wasn't completely set in stone about it. It just was generally what I was attracted to initially, but it didn't really matter. But that's just generally how it worked for me. And a lot of times the short guys had huge dicks and the tall guys didn't, and vice versa. So you never know. But anyway, that is my answer to that question. And I think that for gay guys, it does make it difficult because you can meet a guy and not know he's bottom, and you start to have sex with him, and then you realize he wants you to fuck him, and you think he's a top, and then you're like, oh, okay, and so you have to switch your thinking about it. But like I said, it depends on the chemistry. So that's why a lot of times gay guys, when they meet somebody for the first time, they're going to ask the question top, bottom, or versatile. Not necessarily because they're going to have sex right away, but because they need to know so that they're compatible, because it's not kind of a waste of time if you're not compatible. And of course, there are gay guys who don't have anal sex at all. Some gay guys just do oral sex or other things, but majority of gay men do, but not all. So there's my answer to that question. Thanks for listening. Hello, everybody. This is Dononvan from the Off Limits Show. This is my crew segment. On this segment, I'm talking about what kind of woman would you be if you were a woman, and why. For me, I think I would probably be, if I could choose to be what kind of woman, if I had to be a woman in another life or something, I would be someone who's very voluptuous and curvy. I wouldn't be someone who is like a stick figure, like, Kate Moss or something. I would be someone like Christina Hendricks from Mad Men, who's the redhead, Mad Men, the curvy body, or someone like even what's her name, Drew Barrymore, who's not, she's more Zoftig than most people like these days, or someone who actually looks like a woman. Not some woman who looks like a fucking boy with like little fucking bumps on her chest or whatever. Which is nothing wrong with that. It's just not something I'd want to be if I could choose what kind of woman I want to be. You want to be a woman, be a woman. Like if you're going to be a man, then have a big dick and swing it around, So, yeah. So that's the kind of woman I'd probably be if I could choose. And I would probably be someone who dressed very sophisticated all the time, who dressed in the latest trends and was into fashion and was into definitely wearing high heels and Gucci bags and Birkin bags and that kind of stuff. I mean, I would definitely be that kind of a woman if I were a woman. And I think I would also be a very outspoken woman. I wouldn't be a wallflower. I wouldn't be a traditionalist. Obviously, I'd be very liberal-minded and open to feminism or whatever. And I think that I would be, more of a Madonna and less of a June Cleaver for sure. Or more of a Gloria Steinem, or someone who's, in terms of their attitude, not how they look, than someone who's into the traditional roles that women traditionally have to ascribe themselves to. And so that's the kind of woman I think I would be. Thanks for listening.
Excellent strength and perfect clarity is the 5x5.
Yes, this is David from the 5x5, and this is my answers to this week's questions. Dononvan threw me for a loop when he sent me the question. It was his week to do questions for the crew show, and he did a two-part question, which the first one was, if you could be a woman in another life or whatever, what kind of woman would you be? And the second question was top, bottom, or versatile. So I'm like, which one I want to answer first? So I'll go and answer the top, bottom, or versatile question. A lot of people, when they see me, because I'm so macho and manly, not really, but they automatically think top, and they'd be right. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that I've never really liked being bottom. Not that, but I have a very low tolerance for pain, and some gay men will get mad at me for saying that, because sometimes you have to play your role. My role, that's not my role. I am a top. I like being a top. I like topping, and that's just who I am. But I think as gay men, we all have to. I think even if you're in a relationship, I've seen a lot of some of my friends' relationships where if they're both one way or the other, I think one person's missing because they want to be a specific role. And I do believe there's truly versatile people out there. I'm just not one of them. Because if you look at some of the different dating sites like Adam for Adam or Grinder or Growler, all those kind of sites, people will say this, I'm a top or I'm a versatile. Or now you see them, it's not even creeping in now, it's been doing it for a while. You'll see somebody say their top verse. Or bottom verse. So they're saying if they say top verse, their proclivities are I'm a top, but I can be versatile if I need to. So I think that's the perfect situation for somebody, but for some of us, this is very cut and dry. And like one time, if you don't know who what role the person plays, that could be problems. I know one time I had a liaison with a guy, and we hit it off really good. We actually went on a date, maybe 2 dates. I don't want to seem like a whore or anything, but we went out, and then it came back to a time to where we're gonna, do the do. And so I didn't know. I just assumed he thought that I was a top. Little did I know, he assumed that I was a bottom. and so we had this. Not even I was in my mind, and when I tell my friends, it was like a wrestling match. Who was gonna submit, and neither one of us won. It just got kind of awkward, and I left. And but so you have to know, you don't want to be in there with your partner, or even if you're having a fling, and then it gets really weird, and both of you end up being unfulfilled. So I don't want that to happen again. So I always ask, and I always let people know up front, I'm a top. But the older I get, I will say this, the older I get, I say that I'm a top with versatile curiosities. And that's my answer to the question. And so the second part of this week's question was, if you were a woman, or if you could be a woman, what type of woman would you be? And I had to think about it for a second. I was thinking, what kind of woman would I be? And even though I am a black man, I would be a black woman. I don't think there's any stronger type of person, this is male or female, on this planet than a black woman. And the way I see that is, I've seen my mother, who is a very strong individual, my grandmother, who was a very strong, all the on my maternal side, all the women are very, very strong and independent women. My mother, with her health issues, she's just been very steadfast, and even though she hates it at times, she perseveres through the pain, through all the doctor's appointments. And then I look at my sister, who is a phenomenal mother, provider for her children. She is a single parent, but she has raised both her children without any help from the government. Of course, the family's helped her, but she's a great role model. She could have laid in bed and not had a job, and and just lived off the government, but she chose to go to work and provide for what she had created. And so many black women today are raising so many households singly, and taking care of, they're playing the role of mom, dad, confidant, coach. They're doing all these roles, and they're strong for you. You go back in history, coming up, how many black women had to suffer for just for being, not even just for being, when they were slaves, when we were slaves, and black women had to endure not only the pressure of keeping the families intact, but they also had to suffer the indiscretions of the white slave owners who would rape and abuse them because they're being female. But so black women, I have my utmost respect for every black woman, because it's a struggle, and black women seems to bear the weight of that struggle very well. Unlike me, because there's some things that my sister does that I just couldn't. I don't think I could do. But on the kind of fantasy side of that, if I could be a woman that was a character on TV, I would want to be a Slayer, as in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I would be Nikki. Nikki was the black one. I would be a Slayer, strong, weight of the world on her back, fighting evil and demons. One of my friends said I have a penchant for heroines. I do love a good heroine, especially when you think about Buffy and all those. How many people that can kick butt in high heel shoes? Come on. Anyway, a woman like that, I'd have to be her. Anyhow, that was my funny part of the story. But yeah, if it was a black woman, if I had to be a woman, if I can come back as a woman, it would be a black woman. And it would be even better if she was a vampire slayer. Thanks, guys. Stay tuned for next week's question from Mr. Ken Boggle from Ken Boggle Blog, Ken Boggle Talk, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.